Welcome to Envisioned Broadcasting. Envisioned Broadcasting, the station designed to encourage, equip, and empower you for growth and success. An affiliate of Direct Impact Broadcasting and Creative Broadcasting, presenting the EmPower Hour with Jaresha, a show that shares the stories behind the journeys of leaders, influencers, and motivators. The EmPower Hour with Jaresha begins now.
Welcome to EmPower Hour with Jaresha. I am your host, Jaresha Moore. A little bit about myself. I am a best-selling author with over 18 years of combined experience in education, finance, healthcare, business management, and development, and sales, owner and founder of EmPower on Purpose, LLC.
Muted.
Where we provide coaching and consulting services, certified coach, speaker, and trainer with the John Maxwell team, and owner of Envision Broadcasting radio station. I also want to share with you this evening an exciting event that is happening this Saturday, April 18th at 8 p.m. EmPower on Purpose is collaborating with WEW, or Women Encouraging Women, to present a free virtual vision board event, and we guarantee it will be so much fun. Let's gather together for a vision board party. So get your magazines, crafts, goals, snacks, and get ready to go get them. You don't want to miss this opportunity to connect, collaborate, and level up on your vision and goals. Space is limited, so go and sign up today. For details, visit the EmPower on Purpose Eventbrite page. To learn more information and how you can register. Today's empowerment quote is, life-fulfilling work is never about the money. When you feel true passion for something, you instinctively find ways to nurture it. By Elaine Fisher. So I really, really love this quote because of the fact, to me, it's all about passion. When you find something that gives you energy and you know that you can do that thing all day long, that is your passion. One of my roles as a coach and mentor is to try to help people reach their potential. I could tell you all day long what inspires me, what makes me passionate and want to get out of the bed in the morning and do my best. That is hands down helping other people reach their potential and reaching their growth, or continue to grow and succeed. But today, I really want to share 3 questions that was shared with me years ago by one of my mentors as 3 questions to help you find your passion. The first question is, what do you sing about? The second question is, what do you cry about? And then the third question is, what do you dream about? Now, the first 2 questions speak to what touches you at a deep level today. The third answers what will bring you fulfillment tomorrow. The answers to these questions can often help people discover their true passion. While everybody can possess passion, not everyone takes time to discover it. Here's what I would tell you about passion. Passion is fuel for the wheel. Passion turns your have-tos into want-tos. What we accomplish in life is based less on what we want and more on how we want and how much we want it. The secret to willpower is what someone once called want power. People who want something enough usually find the willpower to achieve it. My mentor, John Maxwell, states that you can't help people become winners unless they want to win. Champions become champions from within, not from without. So, without further delay, today my guest is Chris Ward. Chris Ward is the founder of Win the Hour, Win the Day, both a platform and an Amazon best-selling book that helps entrepreneurs to systematically grow their business and, oh, by the way, enjoy a personal life too. After the loss of her husband, Chris returned full-time to the marketing and branding agency she had founded years earlier, only to find her business was thriving. She began teaching clients the exact system and process that had freed her up and helped her during that difficult time and changed their lives in the process. Through sound time management principles that anyone can easily understand and apply, Chris's clients now had more time, freedom, and recaptured the joy and fun they once had when they first started their businesses. Chris and her book has been featured on the award-winning Read to Lead podcast, more than a dozen and counting, top iTunes podcasts, radio shows throughout U.S. and TV shows, including the Raleigh Report. Win the Hour, Win the Day offers a 4-week productivity plan to go from overwhelmed to highly efficient so that you can reclaim your life. To get more information and Chris's guide on how to crush your to-do list once and for all, you can visit her website, which is www.winthehourwintheday.com. Welcome to the show, Chris. How are you this evening?
I am awesome. I'm very thankful and excited to be here.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to have you on the show. So I just shared some of your bio and, and of course, some of the amazing things that, you've definitely done. And so if you can go into a little bit more detail and tell the listeners a little bit more about yourself and a little bit more about your background.
Sure, absolutely. So I have a marketing agency, and I was pulled away from that agency for about 2 years when my husband was diagnosed with colon cancer. And when I returned after his passing, after his death, my clients were shocked. They had no idea of my absence. They didn't know anything that was going on. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. It wasn't good for business, and I didn't enjoy talking about it, and my attention needed to be elsewhere. So they just were really surprised by what I had endured. So they started to ask me in a really gentle fashion, like, how did I manage all that? Because, take the emotion out of it. That was a full-time job with chemo and treatments and all the things that we were doing, plus my agency. So I had a renewed commitment to, the fragility of life, and that business should be fun and that your business should support your life and not consume it. So I started working with my existing clients under the capacity of productivity and time management. And, they were all subscribing to the old way of doing things where you work harder and harder and you try to do it all by yourself and you think buying new technology is the answer and you burn out and you repeat the cycle. And we started working together and, it was just super exciting. They started to take real vacations and they stopped doing things that they hated that, they didn't have to do anymore. And they were able to have a bigger impact on their audience and really get those dream projects out, all the while taking real vacations instead of like hiding in the closet trying to sneak an email like you're a drug addict away from your family. You got this dark secret, you got to get one more email out. So I, started to see all their success and the quality of life that they were getting from this. And I thought, I want to help more people because I don't believe in this grinding it out. And I firmly believe that you shouldn't have to sacrifice your family or your lifestyle for your dreams. So I thought, well, let's write this book and let's see if we can help more people have fun with business because, listen, we've all had jobs we hated. So, if you're just grinding it out and sweating it out for years and years, my gosh, that's just a very expensive job. So you might as well be somewhere else. So I'm just passionate about helping people really enjoy what they do and have fun with their business.
Absolutely. And I think that's amazing. You said some, you really gave a lot of amazing, nuggets, just now, because at the end of the day, like, as you mentioned, a lot of, people that start off with their businesses, they do get into burnout with feeling like they have to do it all, do everything. And, as you mentioned, it has, when you're doing and working on things that you love doing, you want to have fun doing it. And at the same time, with you, when you mentioned that, there are several people, there are a lot of people, and it's just so funny that you said this because I actually talked to someone earlier today, and that was the conversation about how, being in a job and wanting to actually transition into working full-time for, not just say working full-time, but working really full-time for themselves and, working on their own business and how they have felt like they've been stuck. And, in that stuck mode and really unhappy, and how it's really, really tearing and not helping them from a health standpoint because they're stressed out about going to a job that they absolutely hate. So yes, absolutely, absolutely. So you actually mentioned, you just mentioned a little bit about, your book, Win the Hour, Win the Day. Can you give a little bit more details or tell us a little bit more about your book, Win the Hour, Win the Day?
Yeah, so in Win the Hour, Win the Day, we talk about really simple, easy strategies that you can get results on immediately. So what I would talk about is, listen, time management and productivity just has, there's a lot of heavy-handed books out there, really complicated and things like that. But I'm talking about fundamentals that really can change your business. Because, listen, I learned the hard way myself. I'm what I call a recovering rushaholic. If you read the book, you'll know that I almost killed myself. I almost electrocuted myself just one day because I was in a rush. And there were numerous kitchen fires because I thought I could answer one more email. I mean, when your husband sits you down and asks you really nicely, specifically not to burn the house down, you can't say he didn't ask. And it was always because, like, oh, I put it in the oven and I just have to answer one more email and then whatever. So that was just a couple of kitchen fires. So, you get sucked into all this grinding it out and working later and later. And, I did that too. And I thought, oh my gosh, this can't sustain itself. There's got to be an easier way. And one of the backbones of success, that in the backbone of every success story ever told in the history of mankind, has been that entrepreneur had a team. So when we talk about productivity throughout the book, people tell me that it often changes how they see time. And the book is divided into how a struggler sees time and how a successful person sees time. And one of the main things in this book is we do talk about team building, because we all have this idea that we're saving money if we do it ourselves. And there's just so many problems with that. But we are in this absolute magical time, despite what's going on in the world today. We are in this magical time where you can get resources from around the world at a very economical option and very specialized. And you don't have to find somebody that's just totally local, that you have to buy a desk for and a computer and only available a few hours a week, and you need them, got to give them more hours because they're not going to spend their gas money coming down. And so all of a sudden you start having these hourly wins. And if you can win the hour, you can win the day, because we have this idea like, oh, we've got more time, or we can outrace time, or I'll just work harder all day long and then I'll learn that new thing I have to do tonight. So what I want people to understand is be accountable to the hour, and you'll start to see when you're derailed and off course and how unrealistic your plans are and why you're falling short. So that's a big thing is, the backbone to everything really. You don't need more time, you need more help.
That's good. That is so good, because like you mentioned, I definitely, I feel like I've had to learn that the hard way was feeling, being a single mom and just wanting to get in so much. And, we have this to-do list that is just forever, goes on forever, and you add things, and it's, you feel like you have to get so much done, and, and then when it's not done, it's like, okay, it just goes on to the next day. So, yeah, I definitely say that I understand that, and I love the fact that you say you need to be accountable to the hour. Yeah. So I know that you shared a little bit about a lot about your business. If we can talk a little bit more about, if you can tell us a little bit more about your business and how you help others, and then also share with us how or what point in your life did you decide to actually start your own business?
Well, I think I always had a business mind. I just didn't know that, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I didn't want to be in real estate or retail, and I just kind of did things in hindsight in other careers where it was like, oh, that really was a business application. I can tell you that when I was 13 and babysitting, I took it very seriously, and I gave discounts for rebooking, and I had this whole system, and oh my gosh, now I look back, and I had bonuses and discounts during the holidays, and I didn't know that those were business applications. So it was always in me. I just sort of didn't recognize it. So it's just something that sort of got a hold of me, and it grew. And so what I would say is what I do is I work with my ideal human is somebody that loves what they do, and they're thinking, you know what, I do get a lot done in a day, and I am really happy that my business is alive and has survived these first couple of years, because we all know that fear the first 2 or 3 years where, oh, I want to have a other ambition, and they almost kind of think, I don't even want to tell people. They whisper it to me, or think, well, you know what, I want to serve more people in less time, and I don't want to have hourly appointments. I just want to have a bigger impact. And those are the kind of clients that I work with, where they think their dreams are too big, and there's this like, oh, they just take so much work. And I'm here to tell you, it's not about the work. It's really about executing the plan. And back to the whole, you don't need more time, you need more help. I mean, think of something really basic, like, on moving day. We've all done that when we moved into or out of our first apartment, and you looked around and you thought, oh my gosh, you never said, well, what I need is a couple of days to move out of here. You said, no, I need more help, right? I need to get more help in here. And so that's what happens with business, is we have this idea that when you climb that mountain and you get to the top of the mountain and you have more money and you're established, that's when you all of a sudden get this magical team. But I will tell you, history shows that you don't get to the top of the mountain by yourself. So you do need help along the way, and those things evolve and grow into the team you want to have. But you don't wait till you arrive to get that team. So especially now, where we have so much in our businesses, no matter what you're doing, you have that whole social media component. That in itself could be a full-time job. So I tell people, like, if you think you're going to learn how to edit a video at 8 o'clock tonight after starting the day tired, that's not where your energy should be going. Not only are you going to only have a meager working knowledge of how to do that video, but don't confuse. You want to remember that talent goes with technology. So somebody who you were hiring, outsourcing for like $50 a month, or you only need them 4 or 5 hours a month, they're going to come back to you and say, oh, I've got this new program to save us even more time, because that's their niche market, and they're going to have all the latest tools there. So people get caught up in being an entrepreneur means saving money and working so hard, and I know I did that the first couple of years. I remember late one night saying to myself, there are laws in this land to protect me from someone like myself. They fought and died for labor laws. It's illegal. Like, I would be coming home saying, I have rights. You can't work me this hard. This is not. So I quit a job to violate every human rights labor law ever created. And that, was just under the guise of, I'm going to work hard. I'm going to be a success. I'm going to do all this stuff. But when I tell you, I wouldn't have come back to a business without this team that I had in place. And it was a very affordable team, a very small team. But I, take all the emotion out of my story, the reality is I also lost the income. Aside from losing my best friend and partner and my biggest fan, I lost an income. So if I came back and there was no business, that was not the time for me to take on new career ambitions in that grieving process. It just was not a plan. So you really want to have an infrastructure in place so that your business supports your life and not consumes it, but also so that you can really fulfill those ambitions that most of the time are going to create amazing opportunities and amazing revenue for you.
Absolutely. You touched on so many wonderful things. And, I had to laugh because I remember, when I first started my business, and I truly find myself doing this, sometimes even now, the countless hours. I felt that when I started my business, I was going to design my whole entire website. I'm like, oh, I can just Google it. No, you cannot. I mean, not saying that you can't, but, not if you want to spend hours upon hours upon hours working on the website. And so I finally decided, okay, I need to have an expert work on this piece because I can't do it. Yes, so absolutely.
And then, you know what?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. My apologies.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and the thing is, you probably want that website up for another opportunity. Like, what happens is you end up, the thing you need isn't even the thing you want. You think, okay, so-and-so told me I need to have a new website, so now I got to learn this. Oh, when I'm learning a new website, I got to learn new SEO. Oh. And all of a sudden, you're so 10 miles back from your original goal, that wasn't even the thing you wanted, but now you have to learn the thing to learn the thing to learn the thing, and you're so in the wrong way.
That's right. And then it's hours, like you said, countless hours, and and, not much sleep and, not even practicing, good self-care and all of that. So, yeah, I definitely understand. I know there's so many entrepreneurs out there that hasn't really, developed or really understand the value of team. And so you came up with this Build a Rockstar Team for Pennies. What does that mean, and how did you get started with that?
Well, it's kind of based on what I call the Ward method, Chris Ward, and it's really winning always requires delegation. So what people get so confused with, they look and they say, one thing is, if I convince you of nothing else tonight, you say, you know what, you're right, I need a team, and there is so much specialization going on right now, and I can really afford it. The other thing I want to pause for a minute and say is you have to understand that that's a whole strategy and whole skill set, learning how to build a team. So it's really easily done, and simply, once you set it up and you've got this system in place, and it's just so easy to do when somebody shows you how to do it, like when I show my clients, but then you have it forever. But people sometimes will say to me, oh, you're right, and then they come back and say, well, I tried building a team, and it didn't work, and it's, kids these days and the economy. And I say, well, that's kind of like someone saying to me, Chris, you really should have a good tax strategy now that you have your own business. And I come back and say, well, I tried it by myself and it didn't work. Well, what do I know about taxes, right? So first of all, know that it's still another skill set. So if you say, well, you're right, Chris, and then you go off and do it, it's just another thing you're trying to hack through yourself. So it is a definite skill set. I've worked years on making it simple and very digestible, and you can do anything with it. But it is something you do need to learn if you're going to, it's the backbone of your business. It's going to give you a lifestyle. It's going to give you free time. It's going to give you new opportunities, new income. So it's a good place to spend a little bit of energy to learn how to do it once, and then you have it forever. So you really can build a rock star team for pennies and have, I can post up a job tonight knowing the different platforms and have somebody working effectively on my team by tomorrow night because we have strategies in place. Now, I know one of the first people I started out, so when I used to go to meetings when virtual stuff wasn't that effective back then, and even just 6-7 years ago, and I'd have my pen and paper on my lap, and I'm taking notes, and I would promise myself when I would get back to the office, I would put it right into the client's file, because sometimes I was quoting stuff, and, and you're like, it's fresh in your mind, but, whatever, I'm going to do it today. And as sure as, there's snow in Canada, what would happen is every week, Friday would come, and I would have all these notes from the meetings, and then I would try to put them in the client's files. It took about 2 hours Friday afternoon, and now I couldn't read my writing that was bouncing on my lap. And then if the client called back, potential client, and asked me, sometimes, I wasn't sure of the pricing. I'm like, oh, my gosh, did I promise him that discount or whatever? And if I made that mistake, it just looked like I was trying to swindle them. But no, I was just thought I would remember it, and I was taking short notes trying to pay attention to what you said. So one of the first people I hired was a transcriptionist. And you don't even need them anymore with technology and stuff. But what I would do is I'd get in the car, I'd talk into my phone, and I would just talk for 30 seconds to a minute with all the details. She would get that, type it out, put it directly into the client's files. Now, what happened was, first off, I got 2 extra hours a week Friday afternoon. Amazing. Secondly, it was far more accurate. I didn't misquote anyone. I had no one cranky at me. I didn't have the stress hanging over me all week. And God help this woman, she only liked doing transcription. So she had 10 clients like me. Some weeks I used her for an hour. Some weeks I used her none. Some weeks I used her for 3 hours. But she could type faster than I could talk because that's all she wanted to do. And so she was very focused on that. And it cost me I don't think it cost me $50 a month. And some months it cost me $25, right? So it really changed my life. And then when I got Friday afternoons free, I thought, what else can I do? And so that's how it unfolded for me. And that's what I want people to understand is, you think you need this big training process, and I get that all the time. Someone say, I spent 3 weeks building out this process, and I hired my first person. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, because you didn't test it along the way. They're on day 2 going, well, this one doesn't have the same password. Oh, you're right, that's different except on Tuesdays. And so you put all this upfront work, and it doesn't have to be like that. You can just screen capture something you're working on a video screen application for free, and show them how to do it, and they can make notes. There's just so many ways that we can show you how to get work off your desk. And most people think their business is different or their situation, it can't be done. but we do it all day long with all kinds of different industries. So I just truly do want people to know that you can build a rock star team on a dime, like for pennies.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you also said double your income, triple your time off. What does this mean? Can you share that with the listeners?
Absolutely. So you know what it's like. So I would hit the floor running Monday mornings. I don't know why. I thought Mondays was this big day. It was twice as long as any other day. And I had ambitions like you would know on Mondays. And I don't know why, because I mostly worked all weekend. I was really kind of tired by Monday, but I thought it was still a new week. And so what would happen is we now know the more tired you get, the less resourceful you are, the less creative, the less productive. You're running yourself into the ground. You start multitasking. It's just a hot mess, right? And so what happens was when I started building out this team, I could not believe, that I would leave work sometimes guilty, and I had this with my clients too. It's almost part of business therapy. Like what happens is when you leave work still fresh, because now I believe you should start work refreshed and leave fresh. But when I started doing that, I thought, oh, maybe I should stay later. I should work a little harder because this is crazy. I still feel good. Usually I leave when I'm nauseous, but I still feel good. And so what happened was when I started working less hours because I had this help, I started being more and more productive, having better ideas, reacting quicker, not just sitting in my chair kind of like sometimes I'd come back after work so late night after night and I think, my Lord, was I drunk last night? This isn't right, and whatever. Okay, now I got to stay later. So what happened truly is you're getting in your own way. So what that means for you is you will work less. You will start to have more and more time off. And you will double your income because the stuff that you do gets more and more effective. One of my first clients when I started working with this after, I came back and stuff like that, was she had a real estate business in Buffalo. And that is one of the few businesses where their timelines are hot, like they're just all over the map and it's intense and there's drama and they do have very little control. So I really thought, I'm not 100% sure I can help you, but I don't know how much. And on top of this, poor woman had triplet teenagers graduating from high school that year. And we started working with her under the capacity of win the hour, win the day. And she said to me after, at the end of the year, she said, Chris, I have been in business 10 years, and this year I worked half the time that I did any other year. And she said, I made way more money. And she just could not believe it. And it was just because we started executing things and building her out a team. And it was just, the word team sounds so big and heavy and expensive and strong. But it could be 3 people or 2 people. And it could be you're spending like $100 a month. It's just that you would not believe that these things you extend in your day that are either duplicate work or low-grade work that you don't have to do or technical work that you shouldn't be doing. So somebody else, like the transcriptionist, that took her like 10, 15 minutes to do my audios for the week. And it took me all Friday afternoon, right? So, $15 for a Friday afternoon, who would not pay that?
Exactly. Yes, absolutely. And just to piggyback off of, what you said, because I know when I first started my business, I, of course, was, under the impression that I had to do it all and, I have to do it all and I have to build this and, I have to work all these long hours and all of that. And then I happened to, listen to a call one day. I think it was some kind of podcast and the gentleman that was speaking had mentioned, it's okay, how he had, how he had hired all these assistants and, he was talking about how, you can hire an assistant. It doesn't have to be really expensive to work on X, Y, Z. And I said, oh my gosh, it was like a light bulb went off because I was like, okay, not only do I need to have someone that's going to work on my website, but I need to have an assistant that's going to help me in these areas so that I'm not, really getting burnt out and feeling like, oh my gosh, I don't have time for anything else. I have children. What else, all I have time to do is really build this business. And so when I tell you that was one of the best decisions I could have ever made was to start building that team, hands down, best decision that I've ever made. It was, I look back at it and I've even shared with other business owners or other business owners and entrepreneurs that are really starting out. And I'm like, you have to know or give yourself permission to walk away from certain tasks. As you mentioned, who wouldn't spend $15, on that?
Mm-hmm.
You have to give yourself permission to say it's okay to hand this over, delegate to someone else that is going to get it done, and then it frees up time for you to work on something else. So absolutely, hands down. So I love that you always did.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
it's more than permission. It's more than permission. It's almost like a bad plan. And this is not language I use, but the most successful people in the world, they'll say busy is the new stupid. Like, you're just spinning your wheels. Who are you helping? And I know for me, I confuse sweat with success. Like, because there's other things you've done in your youth where you think, oh, if I'm working really hard, I'm building up a sweat, we've done a good day's work, right? And so you're confusing it when you're running around like a crazy person, wearing it like a badge of honor. And I did too, like, oh, I'm a hard worker. Look, hard work and sweat does not mean success. And, that's what I really notice the difference. And I also, something I often say, to me, work means when one requires knowledge. If you are working that hard, then you require knowledge in different areas, because it shouldn't be, you should be getting bigger results faster, and you shouldn't be sweating it out. So work to me means when one requires knowledge. We are in the information age, and so it just means you need more knowledge in that area, because it's not going as fast as it should. I mean, I even have someone on my team, my social media manager, and one of the things she does is, because this is another big distraction for people, never mind the output on social media, what if somebody messages you in Facebook and all this stuff, and they want to be on the radio show, or all these things that you can't let drop because you finally got that person to reach out to you, and now you didn't respond, or you don't get your messages for 3 days. Like, that's a whole job in itself. So we have a process where, my team will tag, like, this one left you, like, I just look at, we use Basecamp, it's just a platform, no big deal, but they could be doing it in email or anywhere, a different system. And I will get a thing in the afternoon showing different tags, and they'll put the link in there. Sarah Smith has responded to your thing on Facebook, wants to be on your show. She wants to be on your podcast. So then I just go through that sheet really quickly, instead of me checking Facebook every time I think of it, and being here on Instagram and running around like a chicken with her head cut off, which now sounds like a really graphic, violent scenario, because now we listen to the words we say. But anyhow, as we evolve, maybe that's not a saying I should be using. But so that's what happens, is I have something very simple like that, where that's all streamlined to me and put in one spot. So then I click through it and just follow the links. Or you were tagged in a group, so the link is right there. I go in there, I respond, I thank them, blah, blah, blah. So I'm not constantly combing and pulling my mind in different directions, exploring all platforms. So, I mean, and that's someone that she works for me like 2 hours a day. Like, and I'm not talking about having a team of 20 people and each one works 2 hours a day. I'm saying you could have a team of 3 people that work, 10 hours a week each, depending what your needs are. It is just so affordable and so accommodating and so adjustable, and it's just magical what you can do. And most people don't understand it, and there's just a strategy to it. And and we talk about this. I have actually a bunch of giveaways that we still charge for in some element, but on your show we put them together one page, and people could opt in and get a bunch of, it's like a little, what I call a jewelry box. There's a whole bunch of little jewels in there. And in there you can see some stuff I'm talking about for free, so I'll just give that to you now. www.winthehour.com/free-gift. And if you go in there, there's a whole bunch of different examples, or there's a video I show you how I do a 1-minute video, and my team repurposes it for a month of content. And that might cost me about $50. So that's what I want people to understand. I'm so passionate about it, is you are in your own way, and your business should support your life, not consume it, and it doesn't need to be this hard.
Absolutely. That is so good, and that is that message needs to be conveyed to every entrepreneur, business owner out there. Yeah, absolutely. You have to, as you mentioned, busy is, you hate to say it, but as busy is the new stupid. You want to be smart about your business and how you're wanting to grow and run your business. So absolutely. So I love that you have always been a creative, entrepreneur. And as a result, you want to empower others to dictate their story. Class, how do you truly feel they should do that?
Like, what do you mean? Give me an example.
So if you can, I guess, how do you empower others to, truly, own?
Yeah. Yeah, I think for that, this sounds ridiculous, but I mean, I come at you with two parts of my brain, my marketing part of my brain, and then this whole team building thing. Because what I've learned is the marketing part of my brain would not be here anymore if I didn't have the team building, because that business would have been gone. So again, one thing I will bring it back to team, because team together, everyone accelerates money. So when you do have a team, you have the freedom to be creative. Because I will tell you, when I wrote my book, I did all kinds of research, and throughout the history of mankind, the best inventions ever made, right from Newton's apple on down, have been in times of relaxation or play. So the brain operates differently when it's in a relaxed mode versus when we think we're a hurdle jumper and you're just running through the day trying to react all day long. So being your best creative self, you have to have room to breathe in your day, or you're what I referred to my former self as a hysterical Chris, who was a recovering Rushaholic. Like, you couldn't be creative when you're just like in panic mode all the time, juggling. So that's a big part of it, is you need time in your day to breathe that out. And another element to that, and it took me a long time to learn this, is it sounds ridiculous, but kind of just be you. I used to see my online self very different than my offline self. I know I'm high energy, and sometimes that's too much for people. And what would happen is if you worked with me one-on-one, people are like, oh, you're fun to work with, or you're funny, or this or that. But I felt like that was kind of like a fifth date thing, where online, if somebody didn't know me as well, I was all put your shoulders back, be professional, you went to school, show up looking serious, so they'll take you serious. And I wasn't drawing the right crowds, and it wasn't myself, but I just thought, it's not that I wasn't being authentic. It's just there's different versions of you. Like, me sitting there with my 90-year-old grandmother was a different version than me sitting with some girlfriends, right? So, what you need to do is have, a day that allows you to be you. And also, because when I was back to being hysterical Chris, and I used to have to do social media, I would be doing it in a rush. And I look back now and see these videos, I'm like, you're saying stuff, but your jaw is clenched because you have to get 4 more videos done in a half hour. And you're not fooling anybody. There's an intensity there. So being your creative self, there has to be room in your day to do that. And in order to do that, you have to have a business that supports you and allows you to do that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. That makes perfect sense. I think that I completely agree with you. You do have to have, a business that's going to help support you and allow you to, really be creative. And absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So what would you say is the biggest accomplishment for you up to this point? Well,
I think writing a book is an exciting thing, and there's a morbid saying, back to our saying, they say if you go to any graveyard, almost everyone in there has a book in them. And I did think about that a couple of times. I was writing my book thinking, oh yes, now I know why everyone doesn't get that book written. Or I don't know if your audience, I don't know your demographic, if they're big Sesame Street fans, but there used to be a skit where Kermit the Frog was interviewing this guy who wrote Mary Had a Little Lamb, and he kept going, Mary Had a Little, Mary Had a Little, and then he burst into tears and go, I'll never get it. And this is how I felt writing my book. I kept thinking of Kermit the Frog every day. So that to me was an accomplishment, because you think you've written the book and then you give it to a couple of people and they're like, no, because people keep telling me all the time that it's a very easy read, very digestible, and they eat it up. And I cannot tell you how much work that is. As Mark Twain said, I would have written you a shorter letter, but I didn't have time. So making it easy, digestible, and very, readable was quite a chore. And so for me at this point now, I've gotten a book written and I can write more. So I think that's a big deal. So that was a big deal, is getting that book done. Yeah.
Absolutely. That is a huge accomplishment. Absolutely. Yeah. And I just have to say that I personally loved Sesame Street. So yeah, I just had to throw that in. So absolutely. So then on the flip side of that, what would you say has been the biggest challenge for you up to this point?
I think social media, for a number of reasons. Even before everything happened with my husband, I did social media because I had to, but I did speaking gigs and stuff. And if you invited me to do a speaking gig, I'm all about that. I'm totally comfortable with it. I'm fine. Radio shows, TV, whatever. But social media always struck me as you were walking by and I'm trying to tug your sleeve to get your attention. And so I struggled with that. And then when my husband passed away, I had nothing to say, like, oh, look what I had for breakfast. My husband died, but this I had my cereal. So I literally had nothing to say. And I mean, I still had my business and I had clients coming through that. And I started working on my book. And so I was off social media for like 3 years. And when I came back, it was like, there was buttons I couldn't even find. And it was just really hard because it's like, then there was some people who were like, oh, we're so glad to see you back. And they treat you like a broken bird and their heart is in the right place, but it wasn't the energy that I needed. So social media was a struggle for me to begin with. And then also, like I said earlier, understanding that you just be you and not try to be professional you. So kind of getting out of my own way with social media and then coming back from 3 years off social media is an incredible amount of time. It might as well have been 30. So that was a real climb of, and then to be honest, I'll be real honest. When I wrote this book, I was pressured for a long time. I was not going to talk about what happened, the genesis of this book. And everyone's like, Chris, it'll just be another productivity book. You have to tell your story. And I was like, I know I love hearing other people's story. I do. But in my case, I was like, I don't need that kind of where people pet you and you look at you like you're broken and, and I just, everybody has a story, everybody has something. And that was just my something right now. I didn't feel that I was more, dramatic than anyone else. And I didn't need the drama. So it took a lot of convincing for a really long time before I included that part of the story. And that was a real challenge for me just to open up and talk about that. And I'll really share too. When John was here, we never used the C word. We never used the cancer word. We just had a whole positivity thing about it. When we had to go to the hospital, we went all the way around to the other side, so we didn't have to go in the doors where we saw that word. And so then when I had to start the first couple of interviews I did, I said, well, he was given a grim diagnosis, but I wouldn't say the word. And people have said to me afterwards, it's more distracting because we don't know what that was. So I had to learn how to say that word because it was just a word I would never say before. So there was a lot of luggage there, and that was a real challenge for me.
Wow, yes, absolutely. And, just to pull out some of the points that you mentioned, social media is, I think it just has its own its own world. And that can be somewhat, can be very challenging even from a business side. Even from a personal side, because, similar to what you mentioned as far as, the time that you, went away of not being on social media, from my personal experience, I would get on social media and it took me a while to recognize the value in, putting my business, as far as like my actual business and my brand out there on social media, because I was very private, reserved. I'm like, oh, I don't want to share this. I don't want people to know, about this. And then I realized, I'm like, because of course you see people that post about, what they ate for dinner and, and they have all these different likes and, everyone's so interested. And I'm like, well, what am I going to really share about and all of that? And so it took me some time to really get over that and really get out of my own way, like you mentioned. To recognize that social media is a huge tool and a great resource, for business and for, from a personal level of just you to share your brand with people, because people want to know, about you. They want to know who you are. They want to know those stories. They want to know, your testimony. They want to hear that. They want to see the person behind, the business that's being put up there. They want to see, who you are and some of the struggles and challenges, that we've definitely gone through. I think that allows them to really identify with us more and respect us and really truly understand that, this person has been through this. That means I'm not alone if I went through some of the similar things or have been through some of the similar challenges. So I definitely think that social media could be, and is a really great tool. And
really, you know what? I know all that. Like, I know that myself. I know that as a marketer. I know, like, I'm watching the Olympics and I'm watching some sport and I'm like, I don't even know what this is. What the heck is this sport called? Why are they going upside down, backwards down a hill? And then they show you a 3-minute video of them and you're like, oh, his dad is there. Oh, my God, look, his father came. And you're like, suddenly you care, right? Yeah. And yet I know
Absolutely.
that. But when it's you and you have to put your goods out there, you suddenly think, oh, well, I don't want to be that girl. I don't want to be that person, right? So you get in your own way, right?
Absolutely. Yes, we do. We definitely get in our own way. Absolutely. Yeah. So this week's empowerment quote was, life fulfilling work is never about the money. When you feel true passion for something, you instinctively find ways to nurture it, by Elaine Fisher. Could you share with the listeners what this truly means to you?
Well, I tell you, I do love what I do very much. And often people who don't understand, like I have an aunt one day and she said to me, Chris, how do you fill your days? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, are you kidding me? And my biggest struggle, and I've had to work on this a lot, is knowing when to stop. And I had to learn, just because you love what you do, you still can work too much, right? So even with a team, it's like, oh, we got a book out, we started a podcast, and we do whatever. And it was especially brutal in the beginning when I didn't have a team and I didn't have business sense to know to put these things in place. And, sometimes I would wake up in the middle of the night and I'd be like wide awake, and I'd think, oh, I'm laying here. I might as well get up and work because I don't have time to waste. And as my husband would say, you can't fall back asleep sitting up looking at a bright screen. Like, this is ridiculous. So he had a you don't get out of the bed policy. And this is how weak my life was. He would get up in the middle of the night to go use the bathroom, and he would check my feet, and he could tell if my feet were cold, I'd been out of bed. So I was being audited in the middle of the night. So I do believe in passion, and when you have that passion, it's a good problem to have, to learn how to control it. Like, I hear people say to me something like, oh, don't you hate it Sunday night, or don't you hate Mondays? And I'm thinking, I think Monday's my favorite day of the week because you've got this whole week ahead of you and it's so exciting. But then I thought, well, no, I really like Thursdays because we have a lot of team meetings on Thursdays. And then I figured out I like every day of the week because it's just, I love what I do. So I think when you have passion, I'll tell you, it just gets so easy. No matter what you're doing, if you think, oh, I want to be better at it, when you have the passion, you'll just fuel it because you'll be so hungry to learn more and more and more. And it will just get easier and easier and easier, and you'll get your 10,000 hours in, and you'll just get better and better. So to me, passion is like everything, absolutely everything.
Absolutely, yes, that's so good. So what would you say is the best advice you have ever received, and who gave it to you?
You know what? I'm going to have to say I've up until recently, I really learned a lot, and I did always rush, and I had more people than I could tell you that would say I was trying to walk through a door before I opened it. And John used to talk to me about that all the time, my husband, about slow down and blah, blah, blah. And he was very good about not sweating the small stuff. And his big thing was, today you're making memories. Like, I'd be like, okay, we got to get this done, that done, and we got to get here and go there, and someone's birthday, we have to be somewhere else, some other family event. And he'd be like, today you're making memories. Like, these are the memories, that these are the memories you want for today. So that really sobered me up, is like, oh, you can't argue that, right? So now you're like, okay, I'm yelling at everyone because they're not walking fast enough, and we have to get to so-and-so's birthday, and we have to pick up a cake. And he's like, you know what? Today we're making memories. And you're like, oh, all right. So I think that is profound because it's so easy to wait. Like, you get caught up. When I got my book out, oh my gosh, once I get my book out, right? Oh, I start my podcast. Oh, once the podcast is up, but there's always going to be another ambition. So you have to find the joy in today, breathe it in, enjoy it. And it took me a really, really crazy long time. I did not understand what people were saying when they said it's not the destination, it's the journey. And I thought, what the hell are they talking about? What are you talking about? Let's get there.
Right.
And now I get it. It's because today you're making memories. So I only got that journey plea in the last few months, maybe even the last couple of years. But so today you're making memories, I think, is the best advice I ever got.
Absolutely. And I think that is so good, especially, when we're in a time such as this and, dealing with this COVID-19 crisis and, being really, having to stay in the home with family and, with children and, and there are those memories. There are those, yes, it's not the norm that we're used to, but there are those memories that, you will forever, cherish and making the new memories. I think that is so important. So, as I mentioned, of course, we are all, really impacted by this COVID-19 crisis. Could you share with the listeners on how it's impacted you and in your business during this time?
Well, here's the thing, and I'm just going to speak from the heart, and I don't, sometimes I'm a little cautious about this. So I know that many people have been really impacted, and I am not minimizing that at all. But I do think that there is always good in something. And if you focus on that, I believe you are responsible for the energy you bring into the room. And so to me, the way I've looked at this is what I looked at is I'm getting ready for when the lights go back on, that I am in full ready mode. So I actually have increased everything I've done. I've increased my workouts. I've increased my workload. I'm okay, I'm a Rocky fan. I am back in the woods, doing push-ups and doing whatever, so that when it's game time and they ring the bell, I'm in. So I do think that it's just nothing can be all bad. So maybe, I know my friend said to me, in her company, they had been fighting for years to get half the people that could work from home, and they could never afford it, and logistics of it, blah, blah, blah. Well, then all of a sudden in 1 week, the whole company, 600 people are working from home. So now maybe only 300 of those people will have to go back, which will change the lifestyles of the people who didn't want to go in every day, which will decrease the whole environment that we see is changing with as far as smog and all the positives that are coming out of taking care of the earth. So I guess to me it's not at this point having a negative adverse on my business, but I am aware of the sensitivity of the economy and all the things that it's causing. But I am determined to stay focused on yielding the best results I can and say, well, I'm going to look at this as a building time. And I don't watch the news a lot because they're competing. They're a business in itself, and they're competing for your attention. So they're not there to cheer you up. So I guess to me is this a great thing? Do I wish this? No, I don't. But since it's given to me, I guess I saw this thing recently, and I thought it was rather profound, and it said the same boiling water that hardens the egg softens the potato. So you choose what you want to come out of this. So to me, I'm just really working on what is it you can make out of this situation.
Absolutely. I absolutely love that. So what would you say is one piece of advice? So if you could give one piece of advice to the listeners on how they could empower their own growth and success journey, what would that be?
I kid you not. I know I keep coming back to it, but if you learn how to build a team, just the smallest little change, that example I gave you with Friday afternoons, me being able to do something creative on Friday afternoon and just not have that hanging over my head all week long and then feeling guilty and stuff like that opened up a whole lot for me, and that was the beginning of a whole bunch of other things. So building a team is not about a football team, and it's not about a payroll, and it's not all these big things. But if you get that concept in your head and you learn how to do one little step at a time effectively, reach out to me, tell me you heard me on this great show, opt in and get some of those free gifts because they'll give you some direction there. And if you understand the concept and the potential, you will be so empowered, your world will really open up.
Absolutely. So please share with the listeners and myself what's coming up on the horizon for you. So do you have any big plans for the near future for your business?
I always have big plans. Yes, we are working on an info product right now. So we do have a coaching program and a whole bunch of things that go like that. And I have the book and I have my podcast. And now in the next, 6 to 8 weeks, we are going to have a online product that you can just go through at your own pace. And it's really detailed, showing you how to hire, how to do this, how to implement, how to train, all super easy, over the shoulder, really neat stuff, bite-sized pieces, and really hands-on. So that's the next thing I'm working on right now with my team.
Awesome. I'll definitely, I'm definitely, looking forward to learning more, because I'm connected to so many different people, and love being able to share different resources and be able to use those resources for myself, in my own business. So absolutely. So I just want to take the time, just to say thank you so much for, sharing your amazing story and journey. Please, let the listeners know how they can stay connected with you and support your efforts.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, because there is nothing more precious someone can give you than your time and the fact that you trusted me with your very important show. So I appreciate you with that trust. I'm very honored. And reach out. You can reach me on Facebook, Kris Ward, KrisWard. Reach out to me on LinkedIn, and then I gave you grab some free gifts at www.winthehourwintheday.com/free-gift.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kris. It's been an absolute honor to have you on the show. Thank you. Thank you so much. I truly just want to say that I wish you so much success and blessings as you continue on your journey.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So listeners, thank you for tuning in to tonight's show with our special guest, Kris Ward. Kris shared her amazing story and journey to encourage, equip, and empower you for growth and success. If you are interested in being a guest on the show, starting your own radio show or low-cost advertising highlighting your book, business, or events, please email envisionD@empoweronpurpose.com. Please tune in next week to hear another amazing story and journey from another leader, influencer, and motivator. Until next time, be blessed.
Thank you for listening to the EmPower Hour with Jaresha, where Jaresha speaks with leaders, influencers, and motivators who share their journeys in personal and professional growth, empowerment tips, lessons learned, and keys of success that will empower you to be your best self. Follow Jaresha on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jaresha Moore, and visit EmPowerOnPurpose.com. And remember to be intentional and be empowered, and have a great day on purpose.